Hello, a warm welcome to all. Today we are going to talk about another important topic which is called strong and weak acids and bases. My name is Dr. Anu Sharma. So this is in continuation with other classes, last classes, which we have already discussed. About a little brief about the last classes what we talked about. What are acids? Acids are substances which donates the hydrogen ions, and bases are substances which accepts the hydrogen ion. So you can go back to my last classes to have a better idea about what is going on. Now, what are common examples of acids and bases are? First one, acids are hydrochloric acid, sulfuric acid, nitric acid, acetic acid, carbonic acid, and bases are sodium hydroxide, the caustic soda, potassium hydroxide used in batteries, and calcium hydroxide, the common acids. But what defines how strong an acid? How can you define how strong an acids and bases are? So, is there any parameters to define how strong acids and bases are? So, for this, let us take an example. Suppose, I hope it doesn't happen. What happens if accidentally hydrochloric acid or sulfuric acid falls in your body? Suppose accidentally hydrochloric acid falls in your hands. So what will happen? Body will get a severe burn and pain. There will be severe burn and pain, as you see in this hands, severe pain. So when sulfuric acid falls in the hands, there will be severe burn, excoriation of the skins. But on the other hand, suppose acetic acid, which we call vinegar, falls in your body, or if we suppose drink vinegar, what will happen? So this is vinegar. So nothing much will happen, because vinegar is used in many food items. There's another one called apple cider vinegar, which is used for controlling the blood sugars control. So vinegar is mainly used for food control. We give a lot of food items. So nothing much will happen. Even vinegar is used for cleaning our hands. Suppose we get a burn, we can also use the vinegar solution. So the question is, what is the reason that hydrochloric acid and sulfuric acid is dangerous to the body, while the acetic acid, another acid, carbonic acid, is not? Even though both are acids, so even though both hydrochloric and sulfuric acid are acids, but this is dangerous, whereas acetic acid and carbonic acid are not. So that is the most important question we have to ask, and that brings us to today's discussion on strong and weak acids. So let's dive into these concepts. So what is a strong acid? Strong acids are substances which, when dissolved in water, it completely breaks down or dissociates into hydrogen ion and anion. So number one is a substance. This has to dissolve in water, and it completely, look at the term, completely breaks down into hydrogen ion and anion. So as you see from the chart, as strong and weak acids, you see the strong acid it completely breaks down 100%, but the weak acids and base breaks down to only less than 100%. So I will bring out the concepts. Now, because strong acid dissociates completely to hydrogen ions, the concentration of hydrogen ion increases tremendously. Because it completely dissociates, the concentration increases tremendously. Even if a small amount is in this small amount the concentration increases, and as such, what happens? The pH of strong acid is low, because more the hydrogen ions, the pH will be absolutely low, because pH is a negative of logarithm of hydrogen ion concentration. So these are examples of strong acids like hydrochloric acid, sulfuric acid, nitric acid, hydrobromic acid, and perchloric acid. Now let's get deep into this concept. Now look at this hydrochloric acid. So it dissociates into hydrogen and chloride. What happens is, when hydrochloric acid mixes with water, it forms a hydrogen ion and a chloride ion. Now the question, who is a strong acid? Because suppose you give 20 molecules of hydrochloric acid, it will completely break down into 20 molecules of hydrogen ion and 20 molecules of chloride. That means it is not that 20 molecules, there will be 10 molecules of hydrogen ion or chloride. Completely it will break down. Therefore this reaction is a forward reaction only. So because this reaction goes in a forward direction, so this is unireaction reaction, is complete dissociates into hydrogen ion and chloride ions. Okay, so there's more hydrogen ions, so completely more hydrogen ions for instance. This is why hydrochloric is a very strong acid. It causes a lot of corrosion in the body if it enters the body. So, but the question is that hydrochloric acid is also released in the stomach from the parietal cells. So we also have in the stomach, there's a parietal cells. The hydrochloric acid, And in the stomach, 1.5 liters of gastric juice are secreted daily, which corresponds to a hydrogen ion concentration of 154 millimole of hydrogen ion. And if you break down the pH, becomes 0.9. So 155 millimole of hydrogen ion are secreted in the stomach, bringing down the pH to 0.9. This is so dangerous. If this were to so, then our stomach would have been completely digested and gobbled up by this acid. But luckily it doesn't happen. Have you wondered why? Have you wondered why this doesn't happen? Even if hydrochloric acid is secreted in the stomach, it's a very strong acid, but the stomach remains intact. This is because our stomach has got a very important protective layer. It's called the mucous inner layer. This mucous layer, what it does? It secretes mucus containing carbonate solution, which is a base and which neutralizes the acid. So acid plus base becomes salt and water. So there is a bicarbonate which neutralizes hydrochloric acid. However, when hydrochloric acids are released in excess, when mucus layer gets damaged in severe, very many disease conditions, then things gets very little ugly, and then what we get, a condition called heartburn or gastritis. We always felt about heartburn or gastritis in some point of our lives. So this is why a hydrochloric acid is maintained. How is maintained in our stomach despite hydrochloric acid being a strong acid? Now, after the strong acid, let us go. What is a strong base? A strong base is a chemical substance which, when dissolved in water, completely dissociates into equal amount of hydroxyl ions and metal ions. So it is also a chemical substance. It has to dissolve in water, but it dissociates completely into hydroxyl and metal ion. So what happens is that that's the solution containing strong base, because it's got more hydroxyl ion, it has more hydroxyl ion. When there is more hydroxyl ion, there's a less hydrogen ion. So this pH will be higher or alkaline, because less hydrogen ion, pH becomes alkaline. So it is a strong base, sodium hydroxide dissociated into sodium and hydroxyl ion, but because there's more hydroxyl ion than the hydrogen ion, so pH completely becomes, so this is a strong base. Let's encounter strong bases like sodium hydroxide, potassium hydroxide, calcium hydroxide, barium hydroxide, cesium hydroxide, strontium hydroxide, lithium hydroxide, and rubidium hydroxide. Now, the important point of today's talk is I'm going to talk something about the weak acid and its importance in our human body. So, what is a weak acid? So, we are talking about strong acid, strong base. Now, weak acid is an acid which, when dissolved in water, does not. Now, the question, does not completely dissociate into hydrogen and ion. So, a strong acid completely dissociates into hydrogen, but it does not completely dissociate into hydrogen. That means less hydrogen ions are present in the solution. So let us take examples of some weak acid, like acetic acid. We already talked about vinegar, carbonic acid, H2CO3, formic acid, benzoic acid, citric acid, and hydrofluoric acid. So let us look about some of the acetic acid which we are talking about. Now this is the acetic acid. So when it dissolves in water, it forms a hydrogen ion and an acetate anion. So see this one. But the point here is that the acetate anion is very unstable in this solution. See, what will do is again bind to the hydrogen ion. It will form again the acetic acid. So it will be very unstable compared to hydrochloric acid, which completely dissociates. But this is the anion which is very unstable. It binds to hydrogen. So what will happen is that there will have a two-direction reaction. The acetic acid will down first dissociate into hydrogen ion and acetate ion, but again it will then dissociate into hydrogen. So what does it mean is that suppose there's 30 molecules of acetic acid, it will only dissociate into 10 molecules of hydrogen ion and 15 molecules of acetate ion. So less hydrogen ion are being formed in this solution. So because less hydrogen ion, so the pH becomes always on a higher side compared to the hydrochloric acid, which completely dissociates into this one. So the reaction is bidirectional. See, in this direction and this direction. So as acetic ion is formed very unstable, again combines in hydrogen form acetic acid. Thus there is less hydrogen at present in the solution compared to the strong acid. Because there is less hydrogen, so the corrosive nature of this solution is less compared to strong acid. Therefore, that is why we can take a vinegar or a carbonic acid in the body. So the most important weak acid in the body is the carbonic acid. So let's go dive into this concept, how it is very important in the body. Now, how carbonic acid is formed is this here. Carbonic acid is formed when carbon dioxide, which is a byproduct of cell metabolism, reacts with water. In our body, carbon dioxide is continuously being formed because of the cell metabolism. So this carbon dioxide reacts with water to form carbonic acid. Now, what does the carbon? It immediately splits up. into hydrogen ion and the bicarbonate. Now, this ultimately carbon dioxide reacts with from carbonic acid, it splits up into hydrogen and carbonate. Now, this bicarbonate is again same as acidic acid, very unstable. So it will again combine with forming carbonic acid, and this carbonic acid again splits up into carbon dioxide plus water. So it forms this way, again it forms this way. So and again what we find, there is a bidirectional reaction. Carbon dioxide plus water forms carbonic acid. It then breaks down into hydrogen ion and carbonic acid and bicarbonate. This bicarbonate again binds to hydrogen from carbonic acid, and there is a formation. This reaction goes on continuously in the solution, and that is why the solution is not, it doesn't have so much hydrogen ion. That's why it's called a weak acid, because it completely dissociates. It doesn't completely dissociate into complete hydrogen ion. Once the hydrogen is formed, again it binds to this one to form this one. So let us take an example how it really happens in your body. Suppose we take a very high protein diet in your body. So when you take high protein like meat, fish, eggs, and also as we talked from the earlier classes of sources of acids and bases. So what we know is that the protein ultimately leads to a lot of hydrogen concentration in our body. So more proteins are broken down, and this leads a lot of hydrogen. Now, if this hydrogen gets into the blood, what will happen? It may cause a sharp fall of pH, because pH is a logarithm, has more hydrogen pH. This pH low will cause a lot of bad effects in our body cells. But luckily, our blood contains a very important substance called carbonic acid, which we will discuss, which acts as a buffer. Now, what is a buffer? Buffer is a substance which resists changes of pH. So, because of this carbonic acid, it resists. How it resists the change of the flow? Now, this is a solution. You see that there is a carbonic acid. It remains in equilibrium with hydrogen ion and bicarbonate. So this is formed, again this is formed, hydrogen again binds to carbonic acid, so less hydrogens are formed. Now when suppose hydrogens are increased, for example when you take high protein meal, this hydrogen will now bind with the bicarbonate, and this will form carbonic acid. Watch again, this carbonic acid again will dissociate to form carbon dioxide and water. Now what will carbon dioxide? It will be exhaled out of the lung. So once this is formed, this carbon dioxide will be exhaled. So by this way the hydrogen ion is released from the body, preventing excessive development of the hydrogen ion. So how does carbon dioxide exhale by the body? How it exhale by carbon dioxide? By increasing the rest. By either we increase the respiratory rate or we breathe a little faster than it. This is not, we will not experience it, but this is how our body really compensates. We may not experience it, but either we increase the respiratory rate or we slowly breathe a little faster than usual, and this in turn brings the hydrogen to normal. Now on the other hand, if suppose hydrogen decreases in the body, in what condition hydrogen decreases in the body? Suppose we have a lot of vomiting, or we take a lot of alkali solution. What happens? Now the less hydrogen ion will bind to bicarbonate, this forming carbonic acid. So when less carbonic acids are formed, so how it is equilibrium maintained? The body tries to retain carbon dioxide. So when less is bind, body senses less carbonic acid is formed. So how we make the equilibrium? It will help to retain more carbon dioxide. So by increasing how carbon dioxide, when increased carbon dioxide takes place, it again binds to water, and this forms again carbonic acid. This then dissociates into hydrogen and the bicarbonate. So more carbon dioxide are formed when hydrogen decreases, and this in turn forms a lot of carbonic acid. And when more hydrogen, again it brings the pH to normal, because now the body turns to retain the hydrogen ion situation. So how does the body retain carbon dioxide? Question is by decreasing. For example, when we want to increase the carbon dioxide excretion, we have to breathe faster. When we want to decrease it, we have to decrease very slowly by decreasing our speed or bring in very shallow manner. Like this shallow manner, we can reduce the amount of carbon dioxide in this part of the body. So in summary, if hydrogen ion concentration increases, what will happen is that this will bind to bicarbonate to form carbonic acid. This will dissociate into carbon dioxide and water, and this will be excreted to the lung. And on the other hand, if the hydrogen ion decreases from the body, then carbon dioxide will reduce the water, and it will form again carbonic acid, which will dissociate hydrogen and carbon. Now you see, this part is a CO2 plus water, and this part is hydrogen plus carbonate. This part which deals with the carbon dioxide excretory, this part is a respiratory part of the equation, whereas this part is the metabolic part of the equation. So when in subsequent classes, when I talk about disorders of metabolic acidosis or respiratory acidosis, we must understand that we are dealing, when we talk about respiratory, we are dealing with this part, something dealing with the carbon dioxide. Either the carbon dioxide is being accumulated in the body, or it is being excreted in a very higher manner. When we talk about metabolic part, we must understand either the bicarbonate part is decreasing, or bicarbonate part is increasing, or the hydrogen part is decreasing, or the hydrogen part is. So this will talk about the subsequent classes. We'll talk about a very important concept of acidic alkalosis in my future lectures. So this is the topic today. I'm going to talk about strong and weak acids, especially weak acid, how it helps in our body system as well as buffering concern, which again in later classes I will talk about buffers, and which will help us to further understand the metabolic acidosis and respiratory alkalosis and all these concepts. So I hope it help you to understand the concepts better. Until then, please take care. Thank you so much.